Day 2 of Senior Bowl practices is in the books here at Lad People Stadium in Mobile, Alabama. I'm Rob Lehocky, along with Executive Director Phil Savage. And Phil, yesterday they had their first workouts, but today was really the first big day, both teams in full pads today.
Yeah, Coach Dennis Allen, the Oakland Raiders, ramped it up, put his squad in full pads. And I tell you, Rob, the player that has stood out the most and has gotten the most traction, I think, in the first 2 days has been Eric Fisher, the offensive tackle from Central Michigan. Measured in at over 6'7", 305 pounds. He's been terrific in pass protection, and right now he's made himself some money here in Mobile.
Yeah, here's a guy you mentioned made some money. He's moving up. Who else is moving up this week, you think?
Well, I tell you, the defensive cornerback position for the North, Desmond Trufant, University of Washington, he's been very solid so far in coverage, very consistent. Jordan Poyer from Oregon State was a turnover machine at Oregon State. He's continued that Tennessee here in the first 2 days of practice. And then the other corner that has stood out has been Jamar Taylor from Boise State. He was one of our last corners invited, and he has elevated his play here. He seems to fit in, and of course he's doing a feature for us on Seniorbowl.com, his daily blog,
right.
His journal, and you get a little bit of a picture of the behind-the-scenes workings of the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, he and Ode Obushi from Virginia, the offensive tackle, both be bringing you inside the Senior Bowl all week on Seniorbowl.com. Let's move to the South. They just wrapped up their second practice, first in pads under Coach Schwartz. Who's standing out on the South through 2 days?
Well, I think one of the players that has really elevated himself also is Vance McDonald, the tight end from Rice. Comes in a bit under the radar, but measured in over 6'4", 262 pounds. He's got separation quickness at the top of his routes. He catches the ball easy. He looks like a pro tight end. I think there's no question in my mind this game has definitely helped him.
We got 6 quarterbacks here. You mentioned Tyler Wilson from Arkansas. Is he separating himself a little bit? Well,
I don't know that I would go that far, but I would certainly say that he had a circular release when he was at Arkansas, and it's obvious that with their 4-8 season, he has not played football since November, and he has gone back and shortened his stroke. He's carrying the ball a little bit higher. It's coming out of his hand a little bit quicker, and to me, he shows the moxie, the leadership. He seems to have command of what he's being taught by the Detroit Lions and Scott Linehan, their offensive coordinator, but I think he's been fairly impressive so far.
Any of the small school guys, the non-BCS teams, any of those players that caught your eye so far?
I tell you, there are several players that I think have fit in nicely. Robert Alford, the corner from southeastern Louisiana, I went and saw him personally in November, and I said there's got to be a reason why this young man is not at a D1 school, because he has quick feet, he's fast, he can return kickoffs, and he has fit in extremely well here. B.W. Webb has held his own in coverage coming out of William and Mary. He also is a kickoff returner. And then one of the big bodies from a small school, Garrett Gilkey from Chadron State. He had a pretty good job. He did a nice job today in pass pro. He was going against John Jenkins, the 355-pound defensive tackle from Georgia. So this is where the Senior Bowl comes into play. You get to see Georgia versus Chadron State, Nebraska, and Garrett Gilkey held his own this afternoon.
There's no other place on the planet you're going to see that matchup, right? At the Senior Bowl.
Other than the Scholar Bowl, maybe.
Yeah.
But right now, Gilkey has certainly held in there, and it's been exciting. I think the fact that these small school players come in with a chip on their shoulder because they want to prove that they belong.
All right, well, a few more days to prove themselves here at the Senior Bowl. We're going to be wrapping up practice with Phil Savage, who was an executive, a scout, and a coach in the NFL for 20 years. He knows his stuff. He'll be talking about it every night on Seniorbowl.com.